Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Built to Exit with me, your humble host, Jason Sisneros. And you are in for an absolute treat for this interview that you're about to see. You're going to meet one of my favorite people on the face of the planet. Somebody, and I'm going to let her tell her a version of how we met, and then I'm going to tell mine. We'll see whose is more true or not. But you'll get to meet this fascinating powerhouse of a woman. Obviously, those of you that you all own businesses of one shape or the other, and I could not think of another more epic guest to have on here to just guide you through all of the things that you already go through and what you can expect down the road. And just as we say, here in the Built to Exit world, that this is ethical capitalism. And there could be nobody that defines that more than Carine Clark. And welcome to the show, Carine. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you so much, Jason. What a treat for me to spend a little bit of time with you. I just love whenever I get to hang with you because you're always a good hang.
It is always amazing. And one of the things that I want everybody to know is how much I respect you. I call you for advice. That list is incredibly small. So when you're on that list of somebody that I call, somebody that I consider a mentor in the space that she holds and with her experience, it is something very, very unique for me to be able to introduce you to my world and to the people that are following. Everybody's looking for those insights, and I just wanted you to tell us, like as I said, you're the CEO of First Colony Mortgage right now. You're also the executive chairman at Domo. As if that's not enough. You're a cancer survivor. You raise tons of money. You ride bikes and you do all kinds of stuff. And I know that you're always got your fingers in about 14 other deals. And then you have to deal with people like me going, hey, you know, I started a new company. Like I'm getting in the tech space. What do you know, right? You're
I'm always happy to help you.
Yeah, and I'm so appreciative of that and the time that you spend and your willingness to share. So tell us a little bit about the beginnings of where you came from. Why are you in business and what started this whole journey for you?
Well, thank you again for inviting me and including me. I just love it. I grew up in Germany. My father was in the military, so that explains a lot. I'm the daughter of a combat heavy brigade commander who served two tours in Vietnam. So people say, "Oh, you're tough." I'm like, "You have no idea." I would never came never had never been in Utah. I live in Utah now, but I came to Utah to go to college and just fell in love with the how beautiful it is here. And then this very big tech wave just happened when I was graduating from college. And so I started in tech. I've been in tech my whole career. This is my fourth CEO gig. So I'm one of the members of Silicon Slopes, which is the original board of Silicon Slopes. We help our communities get access to capital. We help them learn, connect, serve. So I love helping other entrepreneurs. So I say yes whenever I'm asked. We have a lot of tech companies here, especially fintech companies. So I've stayed mostly in fintech and software as a service. I get to do a lot of fun, different things. So while I started my career almost 15 years at Novell, I always joke that I'm like Forrest Gump because I've worked with some historical figures, right? So I worked for Eric Schmidt, who was the chairman of Google. I worked for John Thompson, who was the chairman of Microsoft. My first press release as a CEO, I had quotes from each of them, and people are like, "Who are you?" I'm like, just a girl with big hair trying to build big things. So I've had a lot of access and have been able to do a lot of fun things. I'm on a number of boards. Most of them are fintech. You mentioned Domo. I'm on two other public company boards. And I am on the Olympic board. So I was part of the bid committee to help bring the Olympics back to Utah. So we'll be hosting again in 2034. And I serve on the steering committee and on the people and compensation committee. And then I work the chairman of the governor's office, give incentives to companies to come to Utah. And I just really need everyone to do well. I work really hard to raise money for Huntsman Cancer. So you'll notice I have my hands in a lot of different things because I already know I'm going to die. And
Mm.
I want to leave a place that works beautifully without me. And if I have an interest, I'll put myself on it and just try to help where I can because I really do need everyone to do well.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, you're a brilliant woman and you've done amazing things. And there's this analogy. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Robots before.
No, I don't think so. I know what it is, but
Yeah,
I
it's just a
didn't.
car. It's a cartoon, and it's basically about robots. And the main characters like got broken down parts and that kind of stuff. And there's the big rich, guy that started this business, and this evil son-in-law or whatever is taking over, right? And the name of the organization is called Big Weld, right? And that's the guy's name. And there's this thing he goes and he has this really simple concept is find a need, fill a need,
Yeah.
right? And you literally represent that in all of the areas that you assert yourself, and especially in business. So let's pause on that. I want to come back to it, but why don't you tell your version of how we met, and then we'll go back into the business stuff.
So it was a few years ago when President Trump made a visit to Utah. And there the governor's office really like controlling who could come and see President Trump. So I got an invitation. I was so excited. I cleared the background check in 2 hours. The rest of my team, I don't think they even cleared. So we had to ride to this fairground and go through like magnetometers and all this. I mean, it was like ridiculous amount of security. And then they bust us to the Capitol. And I noticed you on the ride from the fairgrounds to the Capitol, but it was so unorganized and it was so painful. And
Mm,
we got to the Capitol and we had to go through another set of security checks. And there was SEAL team there. They looked like they could take down, like take down the enemy in a matter of seconds. And you couldn't bring any bags in. But it was like a 4 hour prep, right? And I
yeah.
had my laptop with me, and I remember arguing with so he probably knew I was a troublemaker from the start because I remember arguing
Right.
with the SEAL team guy, and I'm like, my brother, I run companies. I cannot sit here for 2 hours without my laptop. You can strip search me in front of everyone, whatever you got to do, but I am going in with my laptop. So he's like, let her go, let her go. So we go there. It's chaos. We sit. It's a great time. We have some common friends. I kind of see you talking to some of my friends, and then when it's over, we're not allowed to leave because there was some protesters on the other side of the building.
Yeah.
And I remember standing up, and I remember you in a three-piece suit. You look like you were part of the Secret Service. And I remember standing up and I'm like, I'm out. So I start heading down the Capitol steps, and you're right behind me.
Hmm.
And you're like, I'm going with you. And I'm like, okay, great. Because, I just got to run faster than you, which is not going to happen. But, at least have a bodyguard. So
Yep.
we get through the barricades, and there's more SEAL team guys and police when we get out, and they're like, "Oh, man, you can't go this way." And I'm like, "I'm going down this hill." So we forget the bus back to the fairgrounds. I'm like, I'm catching an Uber. So you walk down all the way down the hill with me. You got an Uber, and then you drove me back to the fairgrounds, and then you were on your way. And in that short time, you were so charming and so lovely and so thoughtful about. We talked about your businesses and how you buy these companies and you turn them for good and you make money and you donate it to women and children. I was like, you are one of my people, even though you're probably a mass murderer, but you're still one of my people. That's my story.
That's
How did
it.
I remember it?
It was very, very good. I remember the first like massive one was when you're negotiating with these guys that were 5 times your size,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this woman, like, she's formidable, right? She's
Or
formidable,
she's
and
going to
yeah,
jail.
or one of the two, but it's going to be entertaining one way or the other. And then, obviously we went through the same experience, and that ride with you, we meet, both of us, we meet a lot of people, and it's I feel like I've known you for a lifetime. And it was in that car ride. It was just a short period of time, but that was, I don't know, it's been
Yeah.
what, how many, 10 years at this
Couple of
point?
terms ago.
Right, a
Yeah.
couple of terms, like all three of them, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so, and we've stayed close. And again, one of the things I admire about you most is that your just willingness to pick up the phone at any time. Let's talk a little bit about what you see. A lot of people in business right now, they're concerned. I want to frame it first. When one of the things that you taught me along the way when I've been messing with the tech here and there, you taught me this concept about plumbing. You told me the very first time, you're like, I'm in plumbing. And why don't you explain what you meant? And then I'll tell you what that meant to me.
Okay. So I meet a lot of entrepreneurs, and I feel like a lot of people feel like they need to build a flying car,
Mm,
or they need to build a car that goes 9,000 miles an hour. And it's like, no, 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 no. The money for this planet is made in the plumbing, the stuff that nobody cares about, that has to get done, that you don't even think about until it's not working. So
mm,
the internet, the moving data and email and stuff across the internet, right? That's plumbing. That's the
mhm,
stuff people just turn on their computer and they're like, oh, it works great. No, there's a lot of money to be made in moving and securing and handling a lot of things. Data is one of those things. So I'm at First Colony. It's one of the fastest growing mortgage banks in the United States. It was $1 billion a year before I came. 3 billion the year I came. We'll do 4 or 5 this year. We're on our way to 1 billion a month.
mm,
Because my whole thing is that, look, people need homes, and we need to make it easy for people to give us their money. We need to make
yeah,
it easy for people to give us their data, because think about where your most secure information you give to your loan officer. And so I need it to be easy to pull it in, to manage it, and find the very best loans for them. Well, all that is plumbing that no one really thinks about. And the mortgage industry is ripe for disruption. So that sings to me, because if I can make it easier, the other thing is I take friction out of things, right? So if you can do plumbing and take the friction out of it, there's a lot of money to be made.
mm. That's such good advice. And in the application, both in tech now, which I'm heavily invested in now, in large part because of you, it's in plumbing. Like that's, as I've called you and said, hey, blah blah blah, and I'm like, is this plumbing? And you're like, yeah, that's plumbing. Is that plumbing? No, that's not plumbing. Are you a business owner running hard, burning out, and still not getting ahead? I'm Jason Sisneros, founder of Built to Exit. I've bought, built, fixed, exited over 24 companies of my own. I've helped hundreds of business owners do the same. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably didn't start your business to be trapped in it. And yet, here you are, overwhelmed, underpaid, drowning in noise from fake gurus and recycled advice. Been there. Built to Exit isn't just another course. It's not a magic bullet, it's a system, a proven blueprint built from real-world experience, not theory. We help owners control the 3 things that really matter in business: price, the timing, and the terms of your exit. Whether that means more cash in your pocket now, more freedom starting today, or a full-blown exit strategy that lets you walk away on your own terms, our team knows how to get you there. So if you're done guessing, done with the excuses, and ready to win, visit builttoexit.biz today to schedule your free 15-minute strategy call with a senior advisor. We'll show you exactly where the leaks are in your business and how to fix them, because everybody exits. How you exit is the only thing that really matters. Builttoexit.biz. We play to win. Do you?
Yeah.
And so that has changed the way that I look at things. And at the end of the day, what I've been doing my entire career is I owned janitorial companies. So we were in literal plumbing, and
Yeah.
I could
You're a
drive by
little
all the
plumbing.
buildings and go, you know what? Everybody needs us because there's toilets in every one of them, right?
Yeah. No one wants to do it, by the way. Like,
Nobody
no one
wants to do
wants,
it.
they
No,
just want it clean.
yeah, everybody wants to have these bright, shiny jobs
Yeah.
and with all this flash. And I'm like, do you not realize that all that flash generally ends with a jail sentence or a bankruptcy?
Yeah.
Those are so making better decisions and around literally serving people. We call it here, we call it falling in love with people's outcomes.
Yeah.
And so what was your
Yeah.
stack of decisions that brought you, obviously, getting into the mortgage company? Nobody would really think of that. They would go, that's an antiquated business.
Yeah.
Why would
Yeah.
why would you look at that? So what were the stair steps of businesses that have kind of led you to where you are right now?
So I love information, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love technology. I'm an early adopter of everything. So, for example, we have our own chat GPT type in our house. It's been there for years,
Mm,
that knows our family, that knows what keeps the bad stuff of the internet away. We use it for homework. We use it for movie selection. We use it for everything. And I
mm,
think eventually every family will have this.
mm,
We're weird because I have tech children, I have a tech husband. It's like we're super nerdy at our house. And so I always was gravitated toward companies that were plumbing. So Novell Networking. Networking was early plumbing.
Mm,
That company had $1 billion in cash. If it never took in another dollar, it could last for 11 years, unheard of.
wow.
And it had great partners, Microsoft, Intel, HP, Compaq, Borland. I mean, all these historical companies that were parts of. So I got to meet a lot of cool people. I got to meet Steve Jobs a number of times, Bill Gates, because of where it was located, because we were just starting in this industry. So networking has completely changed. It was before the internet. And so went from networking to systems management. So you have all these endpoints now. Everyone has, machines. Think of a nuclear sub. It has 350,000 computers throughout the Navy and Marine Corps that are on subs that are on. Okay, so the plumbing of those devices, you can't go to a nuclear sub and just put on a new software application, right? You have to be able
Right.
to do it remotely.
Mm,
And they're in private, they're like, it's very confidential where they're located. So
mm,
then I gravitated not just from networking, but to endpoint security. So making it so that you don't have to run to every machine, but being able to manage it from afar. And then went into not only, so Symantec systems management and endpoint management, because a more secure endpoint is a well-managed endpoint. So it just kept evolving into different parts of technology. So hardcore technology all the time. Chairman comes to me and says, "Hey, I really want you to come run my company." I'm like, "Oh no, I don't like mortgage. No, thank you. Old white men run
Right.
mortgage, right? Like, no." And when
Right.
you buy a house, like the paperwork, I bought companies with less paperwork. Why I
Right.
gotta sign a piece of paper that says I just signed the piece of paper before? So you signed this, and I'm just like, no, send me a DocuSign. It doesn't happen, and everything's so manual. You got to make copies of your tax returns. Like, I'm just like, it's so punishing. And he's like, yeah, and I want to change it.
Mm,
And I need somebody to help me bend space and time and run to the disruption and build technology to change it. So I want someone to help me build a technology company that happens to do mortgage banking. And I was like, okay, sweet talker, talk to me more. And he's like, "You don't need to get your license. I just need you to run my company. And I
mm,
need you to," because he knows that I run to friction, and friction is a point where you can grow your company, right? So if you
mm,
have problems in your company, yay, because you know where those friction points are, go fix it. Throw yourself into the fire, because
mm,
you will you will solve problems and make it easier. I took a picture. So one of my friends is Pat Lencioni. He's Five Dysfunctions of a Team.
mhm,
And he had this post last week that I really liked. It says, "Your job as a leader is to see smoke and go address it before it turns into a fire. You have to experience a little bit of preemptive suffering and discomfort to avoid everybody else experiencing a lot of suffering and a lot of discomfort." And
mm,
he's right. So if you throw yourself into the friction points and you build straight lines in your company, that's the way to money, because you
mm.
don't want to do anything twice. You want to do it once and go on. So he hired me, and he's been so great to me. And he's like, "I will step out of the way for you to build something special." So, and he's been true to his word. So we have built some new technologies into the company. We've also built an insurance company. We've also built a reverse mortgage company. All of a sudden, you can build all these additional revenue streams because you have built straight lines in your company. You've taken
Yeah.
out the friction, and you've made it really easy for customers, because we use AI and we scrape the appraisal and we have all this information that we do very good things with, and the customer's delighted. They're like, "I
Mm,
don't have to get a bid. You've gone out to 40 suppliers, 40 carriers to get a bid for me, and I don't have to choose it. But why wouldn't I? Because you've already done this for me."
right.
Yes, we have. So that's what
Right.
I do.
I love that. What are the top three areas of friction that you think most business owners miss?
So a couple, and this is kind of my specialty. I go into companies and I can identify very quickly where you have a choke point.
Mm,
A lot of times it's the guy who started the company, because the company has grown past him
yep.
or her, and it doesn't it's hard for someone who's been in it for a long time, who's put their life into it and sacrificed and gave up so many things. It's very brave for a founder to say, "Hey, I can't scale this beyond 100 million, or I can't scale this beyond, beyond a billion." And to say, I'm not giving up, but I'm going to get some help and I'm going
Mm,
to empower them to help me. So a lot of times, if you're a C player, you're only going to hire C and D players.
mm,
And you may have been an A player and you may have got your family to come and work for you, but then you outgrew them. So to be very brave and frank and straight with yourself about the talent that you have, because the single most expensive item every company has is usually their people.
yeah,
And if you're not really disciplined around your people, meaning you need to be brave with your people because you will outgrow people. And it's hard when you got your brother who
yeah,
came when no one else did. And now you've outgrown him. You need a professional salesperson to say, thank you so much for what you've done. Now I have to replace you with someone else. Really hard to do. And a lot of
yeah.
companies will never scale because of that.
Mm,
I think that people don't put in appropriate systems in place. So someone said to me, "Yeah, I don't really want any systems in the company. Like I don't need that kind of bureaucracy."
yeah,
And I'm like, and they don't want any processes. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't have a process to make sure payroll is accurate and on time, it's a problem, right?
right.
So there's some things you don't want to have to do start over every single time. Like you should have processes for that. So I'm not process averse, but I only want process when it can help me do something better. So payroll is something that you should have, you should do better. Manual things you should have processes for. So I
Mm,
think people are not brave about making investments in themselves. And then I think the last thing is that I believe it's kind to be clear. And so I'm not only a straight line person in my work, but I'm a straight line person in my communication. So
mhm,
I don't beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear it straight from me if I think there's a problem, there's a mistake. So we had a problem today and everyone's kind of humming and hawing around it. I'm like, get everybody here. And then I'm like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing.
mhm,
If we're truthful with ourselves, which we're going to be, this was a mistake. This has caused me a 6 week delay, and we're not. That's not going to happen. So
yeah,
I'm going to raw dog this if I have to, but we're going to get everybody back on track. And there was no discussion about blame. There was no discussion about shame. And this one guy's like, "Yeah, that's on me." And I'm like, "Okay, what are you going to do to fix it? And why didn't you tell us sooner?" Right. So I'm pretty straight. Not everyone loves it
yeah.
unless you want to make a lot of money. Then people are like, "Oh, I love that all day long."
Performers love it.
Yeah.
And to your point, it flushes out and weeds through the people that are along for the ride because they were there yesterday,
Yeah.
right? It's really art. You should be surrounded by, to use your term, like A players that are creating tomorrow. There's a lot of
Yeah.
competition. There's a lot of technology changes. There's a lot of, and that direct communication with me took me out of a project that I brought to you, and I was like, hey, look at this thing, and
Yeah.
you directly communicated with me, and I got out of it, and I can tell you that at least saved me $2 million, at least, right? Much less the amount of time that I would have put into it,
Yay.
and it was
Yeah.
just, it was just that direct communication, and I trust you, I trust you, and you have my best interest in mind. So
Yeah. Because I want you to do well. Right.
yeah,
And the thing that people don't understand, or at least they don't want to understand, is that the A players have options.
yeah,
The A players have options. So I'm not a tenure person. Like
hmm
someone said to me, why did they get the promotion? I've been here longer. And I'm like, oh, my brother, first of all, I'm not a tenure person.
right,
Like I will always index on performance.
yeah,
So my top performers will always make the biggest bonuses. They'll always have everything that they need to get their job done. And because I know they have options, they can go anywhere else. And I want them to stay here because they have their fingerprints on the prize, because
mhm,
they love what they're doing, and because they know I trust them. Because I can always be outbid. Someone
yeah,
can always outbid my folks, right?
yeah,
So, and people say, oh, the grass is greener. Yeah, it's always greener, but it's astroturf most of the time, right?
right, yep,
And so I tell people, look, Lincoln freed the slaves. I want you to be here because you want to be here. And I'll give you reasons to believe why I want you to be here. If you have a better
mm,
opportunity, I support that. But
yeah,
I have very few people leave me. And I could build a company at lunchtime because people know I pay for performance, that I trust my people, that I push the decisions down to the person that should make them, that I should only do things that only I can do. And I want that to, ripple down in the org. And that I will be fierce about protecting them when they not afraid to make a mistake.
Yeah. I want everybody to hear and maybe go back and replay that particular portion of this interview because so many business there's a flip that you have to make if you're going to be successful in business and get beyond a certain level. Or and our community really is interested in building to exit, right? And to be able to do that, you have to care about your people very deeply. You used a word there that I would use to describe you and that I would use to describe myself in dealing with my people, and that is fiercely loyal, right? You have their back when stuff goes south. Like
Yeah.
you've got to be there, and that's part of culture. You can't ever really build a company that's going to be functioning long term without culture, and you probably more clearly articulated that idea in what you just said than I've ever heard said. So thank you for sharing that part of it.
Well, if you, so I studied Peter Drucker when I was in college, and I had the opportunity to meet him before he passed away.
Mm.
And I brought him a book. I was at this event in California, and I brought all my books for him to sign. I was such a fangirl. And he's like, "Pretty girl like you in tech." I was like, "Oh, you're such a sweet talker, but yes, please sign my books." And he always said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast,"
Right.
right? And so people love to be at companies where they love to be there
Mhm.
and they want to be valued, and they want to make sure that if you have someone that's a bottom performer and they're getting as much bonus as a top performer, like it's like what are we doing, right?
Right.
Or if someone's getting away with bad behavior and no one's doing anything about it, like people don't want to stay there, but
Yeah.
they want to be at a place where they feel valued and they can contribute. And my team knows if you make a mistake, I'm going to beat you, but you're going to survive it,
Right.
and you're going to learn a ton. You're going to have valuable scar tissue. But I'm always fair. I'm always straight. I'm never underhanded, and that when you win the prize, you win the prize,
Mhm.
right? And that it's all the credit is yours, and you're going to learn things that are going to help you with your next business, with your life, with things because I care about my team. I'm fierce about my team.
Yeah.
And my nickname, they used to call me the grizzly goose, that I was like I'm a mama bear, but I'm also mother goose, but I'm like, I don't know where it came from, but it's like a goose with a crown and like fangs and
I can see it
yeah.
perfectly. See it
Well, that's
perfectly.
so my grandkids call me Gigi. I have three little tiny grandchildren, and they are magical to me.
Yeah.
And I'm fierce about them.
Hmm.
But life's too short for us not to be in places where we want to be. I would never go to a job that I didn't want to be there ever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I love that. Hi, my name is Jason Sisneros, founder and chairman of Built to Exit, a world-class business consulting firm that's helped hundreds of clients and thousands of business owners fix, scale, and successfully master their companies. Let me ask you a question. Are you serious about changing the direction of your business, but you don't have the funds to bring in a high-level consulting team? Well, then keep watching. We created the Built to Exit system specifically for entrepreneurs like you. Whether you're a startup trying to avoid costly mistakes or a seasoned owner stuck in a plateau or a downturn, this do-it-yourself system is your answer. Now, this course isn't easy. It's not a gimmick. It's not sugar-coated motivational feel-good fest if you know me at all. It's a graduate level masterclass built from decades of business ownership, consulting, and real-world results. If you're willing to do the work and follow the blueprint we use with companies that pay us 5 and 6 figures, you will finally have a system that gives you time freedom, financial control, and a clear path to a successful exit. So if you're serious about building a business that works with or without you, go to www.b2xsystem.com right now, because everybody exits. The only question is how. Well, tell us a little bit, because again, one of the things, there's many, like I said, many things that I admire about you, but one of them is that you have overcome some really difficult, we were talking about it, prior to the show, but you overcame some very, very difficult health problems. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I was 13 years ago, I was diagnosed. I was at the top of my career. So I'm the chief marketing officer at Symantec. I had a $500 million budget. I'm just like, I worked so hard to be like this person. And then all of a sudden, I'm diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian clear cell cancer and cancer of the appendix. And I have no cancer in my family.
Mm.
So when I got the diagnosis, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, and then I had this like, I'm gonna die. And because I had 20% chance of beating it. And my
Wow.
sons were 9 and 17 at the time. And it took me 22 years to get those two boys here. And the whole time I'm like, oh my gosh, the second wife is gonna spend my money and she's gonna bring in her six rotten kids and they're gonna buy a boat and they're
M-
gonna buy
Modern
they're
day
gonna
Snow White, right? Modern day Snow
yes,
White. Mm.
travel the world. And my kids are just the 17-year-old was gonna be fine, but the 9-year-old, I was just like, oh, this is awful. Like,
Mm.
and my husband was like, he's panicked because he had retired when my youngest son was born, and now he's gonna have to go back to work if I die, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like all these weird things. And I remember people said to me, don't tell anyone you have cancer because you will be broken and it will impact your career. Like no one will hire you like you. And I was like, hey,
Wow.
first of all, I that's not how I live.
Yeah.
Like I'm a person of tremendous integrity, so I'm going to make sure my people hear it from me. But I remember when the surgeon said to me, "Look, you have a terrible cancer. This is people don't survive this." And I
Mm.
remember hearing that thinking, well, first of all, you don't know me. And
Right.
second of all, my favorite word is yet.
Mm.
People don't survive this yet.
Mm.
And so I said, I'm a vision and a plan person. My vision, not die. My plan, do everything to not die.
Mm.
So what do I have to do to be part of the 20% or the new 21?
Yeah.
And he and I are still friends today, of course. And he said, when
Mm.
you said that to me, I knew you were going to be different because he remembers saying to me, Mrs. Clark, why aren't you curled up in a ball sobbing uncontrollably?
Yeah.
And I said, is that going to help me get better? And he's like, no. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, so how about we don't do that?
Mm.
How about we do everything to beat this cancer? So what that meant for me was instead of doing 6 months of chemotherapy, I did 18 months of chemotherapy. And the first 6 months was weekly chemo. And it was punishing. But guess what? I did it. And
Mhm.
I didn't lose my hair, even though after 10 days you're completely bald. You can rock it. I cannot. So I did this cold cap therapy out of the UK because it turns out I'm a student and I did all my research. And my boys, my youngest son was like, Mom, don't die. Don't leave me with dad. And I decided that I was not going to let the cancer define me, but I was going to let it refine me. And that I was going to show my sons what it meant to stand up to something really awful with guts and with grace and with tenacity, because they're going to have something awful. And I think everyone has things in their life that feel like this is their cancer. And so my 9-year-old, he's like, Mom, am I going to get ovarian cancer? And I'm like, I can't promise you you won't get ovarian cancer, but you're going to have something in your life, and I'm going to teach you what it means to stand up to it. And I don't know if I'm going to die or not, but if I think I'm going to die, I will tell you myself. But
Mm.
I can also promise you that you will be okay. You
Yeah.
will be fine. And you will learn something from this that will be so valuable to you, because it turns out that my cancer was very valuable to me. I'm a better human. I'm a better mom. I'm a better executive. I'm a better person because I already know I'm going to die. And
Mm.
it changed the trajectory of my life, and it changed how I looked at things. So after the treatment, I left my job and took my first CEO job because I'm not afraid. Dude, I already know I'm going to die. Right. And
Right.
then I just kept going and I kept doing my investments and I stopped watching television and I did all my retirement trips and I started writing people. And I just decided I'm only going to do things that I want to do. I'm going to throw myself all the way in, and I'm going to make sure that my people know how I feel about them. I'm going to spend my time and my money on my people, and I'm going to build great companies. And after I die, they're going to say, she was a lot of fun. She made us laugh and she taught us what it meant to live without any fear.
Wow. So powerful. Everybody, you can see why she's my favorite person. You can see because these are the kind of conversations that we have all the time. And one of the things that and I mean, like I said, very few people that I go to for advice, very few people that I say this sentence about, that I adore you. And
Oh,
one of the
you know how
things
I feel about you.
I do, and it means the world to me. One of the things, because again, you're a powerhouse. crushed stuff. You keep crushing stuff. You survived cancer. You've raised a bunch of money for cancer survivors. How much have you raised at this point?
So I'm averaging about 100,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's I think I'm close to 1 million that I raise as a single rider. I ride for as a women's cycling race, and you're part of this group of really generous people who they always come to the playground when I ask, and I just ask for $5 and $10 donations.
Hmm.
Last year was my record year, 140,000. But I think the number two person raised 2,000. So I told him, you don't have to put my numbers up anymore. I just want, and all that money goes to cancer research. 100% of it is directed to ovarian cancer. There are not many ovarian cancer survivors. Most people don't know of an ovarian cancer survivor. It's not a
Mm,
great cancer to get.
mm,
But it was my cancer. So I am so determined to try to get rid of this cancer. There's not a screening test for it, and I collect survivors, but unfortunately, a lot of women that I meet, by the time they're diagnosed, they're stage 3 or 4.
mm.
So if we can do a better job of taking care of these women, because we're losing too many women to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, what's the name of so they can support you? Where do they go to support you when you do your ride?
So I ride for Huntsman Cancer. So
Hmm.
Huntsman Cancer is a very well-known facility in the West, and I ride for the Little Red Riding Hood race. It's the first weekend in June. And I always post on my Instagram and Facebook anyone that wants to donate. And I write a personal letter to every single donor because it's meaningful to me, Jason.
Mm,
And I got to ride this year with a woman who was a survivor who her cancer came back. And she came to the race because she heard me speak at an event. And Huntsman said, "Hey, this woman came just because you encouraged her to ride, and now her cancer's back." So I said, "Where is she?" So I went to meet her and I said, "Brandy, do you want to ride or do you not? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to ride?" She's like, "I want to ride. I don't think I can." I said, "I'll ride with you every mile." And so I paced her every mile, and I had people run ahead so that they were cheering for her. And
mm.
she got across the line. Her sister said, "I don't think you understand. She couldn't get out of bed last week." And I'm like,
Ah,
"Oh, she did something hard today." So I said, "Your treatment the second time around is going to be rough, but
mm,
you're going to be fine. Like, you just have to keep going, and
yeah.
you did something really hard today, and I will ride for you, and I will ride to make sure that you have what you need." And she lives 5 hours away from the hospital, so she drives every treatment to the hospital. But yeah, Huntsman Cancer, they do a really great job. They saved me. They save a lot of people, and they have a culture of care unlike anything I've ever seen.
Wow. Wow. So, um, and it just is it just blows my mind. Like, there's so much, I'm never short for words, but it's just that impact and who you've become and what you impact. But the thing that I think that I love the most, because you're so kind and loving, and you're a badass, and you're kind and loving and soft and beautiful. And the thing that I love, I think the most, is watching your post with your grandbabies.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was so funny. The backstory is that when I was in treatment, my kids were 9 and 17, right? So no grandkids, but my oncologist, Dr. Teresa Werner, she's a fellow now at Huntsman Cancer. She said, "You have to be here for your grandchildren." And
Mm,
I didn't have a concept of that. I didn't know what that like I don't know what that meant. And so when I spoke at the Huntsman Cancer Gala last year, I put up a picture of my 4-year-old granddaughter who's half Chinese, and she's just magnificently beautiful. This child plays chess, violin, we do puzzles. She's 4, Jason.
right.
And she'll say to you, "My Gigi says to be fierce, to be kind, to be wise, and to be brave." And she's going to be just fine. But now I get it that these young people, my grandson's Truman, he's 2, happiest little 2-year-old in captivity. And then I have a brand new baby Nori who was just born 2 months ago. These children, they own me, and
Mm,
I'm watching them learn, discovering the world, like trying to grab a sunbeam and asking me questions like, why do we turn off the light? How come we don't turn on the dark? And I'm like, "Oh, that's a great question," right? Like, I'm just so captivated by them because they are joy, and we're
mm,
meant to have joy.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I didn't die and I get to be here for these little people who are, I said magical, they are magical to me. And I drop everything. When they come to visit my office, I drop everything.
Yeah.
And it really is joy for me, Jason.
Yeah.
It really is.
Too many people give up. I've had this thought a lot throughout my life, but people so easily trade in their playfulness and their joy
Yeah. And
for
curiosity, right?
and curiosity. What
Yeah.
exactly?
Because
And
they're
they,
so curious. And my
yeah,
granddaughter, she asked me a million questions, and her dad's like, it's going to break me. I'm like, no, no, no. We're going to answer
right.
every question, and we're going to paint, and we're going to pick flowers, and we're going to swim, and we're going to eat chocolate for breakfast. We're going to do everything we want to do. And she knows Gigi will get her out of everything. She knows Gigi took her to Hawaii first class. And my
Mm,
son's like, you can't do that. I'm like, Gigi can do what she wants.
watch me, right?
And little Ray she was the queen of first class. I'd like some more Teddy Grahams. Yes, she.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I always also love to hear you speak. You do a lot of speaking, you do a lot of events. Do you have anything coming up that people could come and experience you live?
Let's see. What do I have coming up? I speak at a lot of company events.
Hmm.
I don't think I have anything that's public. But I'll let you know. I really try to say yes when anyone asks me, and I always tell people it's not because I'm that good, it's because I'm free. Like I never charge, and
Oh, well,
I'm
no.
always interested in like helping companies with leadership, helping companies understand that they're powerful and
Mhm.
that no one should feel stuck. That I want people to run to disruption, and I want people to issue a full pardon to anyone who's ever wronged them. And that's
Mm,
probably the hardest thing for people to understand, is that for you to achieve the greatness that is innate in you and that you deserve, you have to start by issuing a full pardon to anyone who's ever wronged you, even your parents.
yeah.
And people fight with me on that, and then they come back later and they're like, "You're right."
It's a
Like
game
I,
changer. It's a
yeah,
game changer.
it's slowing you down.
My adopted father, attempted murder,
I remember we talked about
yeah,
him.
lots of
Yeah,
brutal, and my life changed. You said it earlier when you were talking about how grateful you were for the cancer and how much better of a person it's those things that bring out greatness in people,
yeah,
right? And so that piece of advice is worth gold right there.
yeah. And it's hard to do. It's like laundry. Like you have to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And people say, "No, I worked hard for this baggage that I'm carrying. Like,
Oh,
these horrible things happen to me." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I get
yeah.
it. Just let it go.
Right.
Like, let it go."
It
And I see
help
so
it,
many
it
people
helps.
struggle.
It's an excuse for a lot of people. It's an
Yeah,
excuse for not trying.
yeah.
It's
And they
an
carry this cloak of misery
yes,
that, poor, poor me. I'm like, who cares? Who
right.
cares?
Yeah. I'm famous for saying nobody cares.
Yeah. Maybe I can adopt that.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Well, at the end of the day, we know people care about us. We know people love us. We know,
Yeah.
and I had this experience with Tony Robbins. I was having a conversation with him and I was whining about something stupid, right? And he goes, "Stop for a second." He said, "Who loves you the most on the face of the planet?" And I said, "My mom." I didn't even pause. And she goes, he goes, "What do you think she's thinking about right now?" And I was like, "How am I supposed to know?" And he does this thing with his chin and he nods his head. And I'm
Yeah.
like, just tell me. And then I go, "Oh shit, she's not thinking about me."
Yeah.
Right. And so we live our life. A lot of us live our lives because of, trying to remain consistent with who everybody else thinks we are.
Yeah.
Instead of, I love the word magic. Like I don't use that very often, but you've got that in my mouth today, that to go find out what the magic is of trying something new and being somebody new tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And not being afraid.
Right.
So I met Tony Robbins was it last year? Big event. I'm at a private VIP with all these really important people. And, he was talking. Remember when he wore that costume to go rescue these girls,
Yeah,
like Super Bowl?
we took him
Yeah.
undercover with
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he was telling that story. I'm like, "Hey, I got a picture of the guy you were with." So he comes over to me. I pull
Mhm.
up the picture of you and me, and he's like, oh my gosh. And so then we're having this moment, and the rest of the VIPs were like, how come she gets to talk to him? That was my Jason Sisneros moment with Tony.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's an epic picture, right? You see him.
Yeah.
How do you put Tony Robbins undercover?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, I could tell you,
Yeah.
right? And he had this giant beard and he had this
He's so
hat.
big. Yeah.
He's a giant person. More importantly, like on that op, while we were doing it, we were like, okay, but he didn't have like a speaking part, right? He was there to observe and
Yeah.
he was right in the middle of it. And he said something and one of the traffickers' head snapped around because the only thing more recognizable about Tony in seeing him is his
Yeah.
voice,
Voice. Yeah.
right? He's got a very distinct voice. So we were like, you don't have to say anything. And then I was like, oh, it would be ironic if you have traffickers that are listening to
Yeah.
motivational
Yeah.
speeches out
Yeah.
there.
In
But
mass,
yeah,
right?
in mass. So that's cool. Well, I thank you so much for your time. I always just love talking to you, and hopefully you'll come back on the show. We are putting together an event next year called Unstoppable, and I would love to have you come and
Oh, I
speak
love
at that
that.
event. Yeah, that would be great to
Yeah,
have you.
I'd love that. I'd love to
Yeah,
meet your people, and
yeah,
everyone I've met from your team is so great. So, Jason, I love and adore you, and I'm always so grateful whenever I get a chance to hang out with you. So, thank you.
ditto. Thank you. And give us one more. If this was the last piece of advice that anybody's ever going to hear from you, what do you tell
Run to the disruptions in your life
them?
because it will change you and give you opportunity beyond your wildest dreams. Don't shrink from any of them.
Mm, I love that. Everybody, Carine Clark, thank you so much again for coming on. Adore you. Can't wait to see you again and get to hang out. Maybe we won't have to be dodging and pushing through Secret Service next time, but
Well, we know how to do it, so it
we
doesn't
do
matter.
know how to do it. And I wouldn't put anybody up against us when
Yeah.
we're together.
True story. True
True
story.
story. Right. Well, thank you for being with us. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you everybody that is sharing the show and joining us on Saturdays and joining us and finding me on the road at the events that we're speaking at. We really, really do love the surge of interest in business owners taking control of their own lives. We have great stories. We're just looking to support you and lift you up. The world out there has their hands in the pockets of a lot of business owners. And so we're here to guard that. We're here to train you. We're here to support you. We're here to put you with other business owners that you can learn from, that you can do business with, so that we can keep this thing alive called entrepreneurship. Because without it, we have to work for big companies or we have to beg from a government. We don't have the chance to be a Carine Clark that we can start and push and do things and start companies and become great at them to change our family stars. We have to keep this alive for us. We have to keep this alive for future generations because fiscal freedom is really the unspoken freedom that nobody really talks about. First Amendment is great. Second Amendment is great. It's paid for fiscally. So thank you again for being with us. We will see you again on the next episode. I'm Jason Sisneros with Carine Clark, one of my favorite people on the planet. Make sure you share this, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.